Hello, everyone, and welcome to this webinar dedicated to luxury store lighting, brought to you by Nichia. My name is Matt Waring. I'm the editor of Arc Magazine, and I'm delighted to be taking you through proceedings today. So we all know that store lighting has its own set of requirements and criteria that need to be met, but how do these parameters differ for high-end luxury establishments? Today, we hope to find out, as throughout this discussion, we'll be joined by a panel of experts from LVMH, Metis Lighting, FLI and FOLIO, and Nichia, representing the complete lighting supply chain for high-end retail spaces. Each panelist will give a short presentation before we turn things over to a Q&A session where you can ask our panel specific questions. You can do this by submitting your questions at any point using the Q&A icon at the bottom of your screen. Our first speaker today is Nicolas Martin, who is Sustainable Store Planning Manager at LVMH. An interior architect, one of Nicolas's core focuses is to reduce the energy consumption of LVMH's portfolio of luxury stores without compromising on quality. Following Nicola will be Paolo Giovane, Senior Lighting Designer at Metis Lighting, a senior member of the Italian Association of Lighting Professionals. Paolo has led the lighting design on a number of high-profile projects and has collaborated with some of the world's most renowned luxury brands, such as Dior, Sotheby's, Bulgari, and Louis Vuitton. Following Paolo will be Claudio Scaroni, who is Corporate Client Manager at FLI and FOLIO. Having worked in the lighting industry since 2001, Claudio has a special focus at FLI and FOLIO on the field of luxury solutions for retail lighting, and in his role manages the entire product development processes, from the definition of the technical solution with specifiers to the supply of contractors. And then finally, we'll hear from Alessandro Afeltra, who is the lighting division manager at Nichia. With several years' experience in the lighting and display markets, Alessandro has a strong knowledge of high-end retail lighting, while his background in electrical engineering gives him a firm understanding of light quality, photochromatic balance, and harmonic light perception. So, without further ado, let's get started with the presentations. And for that, I'll hand you over to Nicolas. Take it away, Nicolas.
Thank you very much, Matt. And thank you for having me today in this very interesting webinar. This is really cool to have all the value chain in the store lighting, which is my passion for more than 20 years. I would like to just introduce two main KPIs that we handle in our projects, because I cannot disclose all the tips and tricks of the lighting of our maisons. We have more than 50 maisons that do have stores in our group. And these KPIs are well managed by the lighting designers like Metis Lighting that you will listen afterwards. First one is the lighting per density. We speak about 30 watts per square meter maximum, all the lighting divided by all the surface. And this is not easy today in luxury retail to achieve this KPI, these parameters, but you have to manage, of course, the system efficacy of the products. I speak about system efficacy because some of the manufacturers, they forget to take to onboard the driver or the optics. No, it's the full product that makes the job, that delivers this amount of light divided by this power consumption. You see the Russian puppets, it's because everything is linked together. You cannot make a beautiful store lighting without having high efficient products. So this is a battle, a technical battle to reach this level of 30 watts per square meter. An idea is that you can have a look on the lux levels as well, because nobody sees the lumens, in fact. You see only the light when it's on the surfaces or on the products. That's why I would like to introduce also another parameter, the lux per square meter. In luxury lighting, you have very high lux levels, like above 3,000, for example, on the product. And you go down to 300 or 500. So it's really a matter of contrast. And this indicator could be also very interesting. But I want also to submit another idea that the lux, the unit of the lux, is not so relevant when you speak about human vision. You have the opportunity with the LED technology to adjust some of the colors that cost a lot of energy, and also adjust the optics in front of the LED components. That's why this is always a teamwork, and teamwork makes the dream work. So really, I'm happy to have also in this webinar Paolo and Claudio, and also Alessandro, because everything is doing the success, everything together makes the success of the projects. Talking about the components, we have a close relationship with Nichia, and I go also directly to speak with Alessandro about what they can give us as efficacy. This time it's at the component level. And today they are reaching more than 200 lumen per watt. So really it's a good foundation to make a very good product above 100 lumen per watt. You can see also the R9 levels are above 50. But very often we go for 60 or 80. Another range of products after the mid-power LEDs is the COB range for the spotlights, the downlights. We also want to have a very good spectrum, but with this efficacy. Both are important to us. And again, Nichia is capable to provide 160 or over, and the spectrum of Opti Solis is really one of the best on the market. Another idea, so that I shared before, is a question for everybody, for this industry. Are all the colors very important? In the same way, do they have the same importance? Also, you can consider that the human behavior and the human vision is influenced by the light. That's why we are investigating with Nichia on two sides, Vita Solis, very interesting product, and also the tunable white solutions that nobody is using today on the retail. But I think this is very good for the occupants or sales staff, for example, but also for the customers, because they can have a better transition phase from the outside to the inside of the store. Last but not least, and this is very important to me as well, there's a very important factor of success. This is the teamwork, as we said. And we have done this project with Tiffen France from Temeloy called Lighting for Good, about the maintainability and the environmental impact of the lighting, plus another association with the other users. So I think collaboration and cooperation is very important today after the COVID crisis, but more than ever on the lighting market to save more and more energy without compromise on the quality on site. I'm happy to pass the word to Paolo Giovane, my friend of Metis, that is doing a very, very good projects for us in a few maisons of the group. Paolo, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Nicolas. I'm Paolo. Thank you very much for being here. I am a lighting designer from Metis Lighting. Metis Lighting is a lighting design practice based in Milano, founded by Marinella Patetta and Claudio Valent since more than 30 years ago. When we approach a typical lighting designer for a luxury high-end store, we always have in mind three main fundamentals, which are focus, accent lighting on products when we search for the best color rendering, a clear detail visibility, the correct luminance on surfaces, the right light direction to enhance, the micro reflections, textures, volumes, a must. For example, when we give light to a product as bags, shoes, products with a really high degree of detailings. Ambient lighting, it's the second fundamental. The interior architectural lighting, ambient lighting, so-called, which is the lighting perceives the hierarchy of the architectural elements by means of luminance balance on horizontal, vertical surfaces in order to let the end user to visualize well the space, visualize where the accents are, and visualize where obviously the products are located to have a great visual experience throughout the store. The third element, but not least, it's play of brilliance, which we so-called the light fixtures. The light fixtures that can be prescribed from standard solutions from specialized manufacturers, as we normally do, or even the design of bespoke lighting fixtures, which we believe gives personality to the projects. They give the glow, they give the sparkles. Having said that, after, let's say, having discussed these three elements, which are very well known by lighting designers, by the lighting community, because they were addressed 70 years ago in 1952 by Richard Kelly, we actually would like to add, after so long, a fourth fundamental, which is the environmental sustainability. This means that we have no choice nowadays to pursue with all our strength the best result with the minimum energy consumption, which is the goal we are looking at with Nicolas, obviously working with LVMH. It's a goal that it's very tough to achieve, but we are going and we are achieving some great results in terms of efficiency. When we look at an historical, let's say, flow of density wattage per meter square, we started with halogen and fluo more than 20 years ago, where we had really averages which were very high given by the typology of lamps, of the technology. We went through a quite interesting reduction, shifting to MH with an addition of LEDs, and then a further reduction, shifting to 100% LEDs. Obviously, this specific curve nowadays it's quite stable. Even though we do have, obviously, according to different concepts, different peaks. Some concepts do require more density, some other concepts do require less density in terms of lighting. Therefore, the curve, it's not exactly always the same, but it's a little bit fluctuating. We are going towards the 30 watt per meter square target. This is our goal. We have achieved that in a few stores. And we were able to achieve that because the efficiency of the new light fixtures we are currently specifying. This overall reduction, it's good obviously for the environment, but it's also good because other services will gain from these reductions, as for example, air conditioning systems. It's very interesting also how let's say in the course of the years the density between ceiling light and mirror lighting has changed. For example, back in 2013, there was a greater average in ceiling lights compared to millwork, while now, for example, this trend has been inverted, and we do have, in fact, more density of light within millwork elements, less and compared to ceiling elements. This is mainly depending from the miniaturization of the light fixtures. Many years ago, we were not able to integrate within shelving units, for example, linear halogen lamps or fluorescents as well. Why now with the new LEDs, with the miniaturization of the LED, we can actually work with a variety of details within the furnitures, which by any means increase the density throughout the store elevations. which means more light within the millwork, more watts, which means that we really need to focus on efficiency. Therefore, more details, more fixtures equal more watts, thereby more efficiency is required. Is where we come to the analysis to review new technologies, new numbers, collaborating and pushing our partners, our technical partners, to dig more and more into the numbers. It's an evolutive process, at times not as fast as we hope for our projects, but the right way for a better world. This is an example of different millwork density. We have a concept which is very simple, integrated lighting within shelving units and just accent light on the left-hand side, and a different concept on the right-hand side where we do also have feature diffuse lights. This is something which occurs very much and very often, and that's when in order to balance both solutions, we really need to put a close eye on the linear or the downlight efficiency in terms of light fixtures. We have here an interesting case study that we would like to show. Similar concepts in this specific case. We have linear diffuse lights, we have light boxes, we have feature diffuse lights. Again, we have linear diffuse lights, light boxes, and feature diffuse lights. One concept developed back in 2014, one concept developed recently in 2019. Back in 2014, working with fixtures around 20 watt per linear meter. Back now, 2019, 19 watt per linear meter. 2 light boxes, the feature diffuse lights, and a considerable reduction in terms of wattage allowance. We kind of cut it by half, the original values, and we are actually now going towards another 30% decreasements based on the new technology that we are discussing, in fact, today also. We know that to achieve these results after many years of this profession, it's possible to achieve this goal. It's possible to reduce the wattage density as per Nicolas' expectations. It's hard work. It's possible to achieve a sustainable high quality project, but it's not easy because as what we want in our works is something more, the simple numbers that we see in terms of luminance, efficiency, color rendering, and whatever is related to our project. But what we want, in fact, is to stay within those numbers, but to deliver anyhow a beauty, an allure, a quality to the projects. And that's the critical and difficult part of it. To achieve this goal, we kind of thought about a winning and successful aware chain, which is compiled by a forward-thinking client, high-quality technology sources, a specializing lighting manufacturer, a lighting designer, to provide, a stunning and efficient lighting project. So thank you very much. I now pass my word to Claudio from Formula Luce Italia, a good friend and a great professional designer.
So thank you very much, Paolo, for the introduction. Hello, everybody. I'm Claudio Scaroni, and I work as a business developer for FLI, Formula Luce, and FOLIO, dealing in the field of luxury retail. I'm very glad to participate to this webinar, especially to explain the point of view of the lighting manufacturer on several aspects, not only from the product aspect, but also on the point of view of the services that we have to provide to this kind of clients. So thank you, Nichia and LVMH and Metis to invite me. So we all know that customers like LVMH are probably the most demanding, and their boutiques are truly icons of interior design and often creating new moods and tendencies. Of course, the products must be enhanced at the best. So having a wide product range is still enough. By our point of view, no, it is not enough, not anymore. An high quality of the light, as we saw with Paolo and Nicolas, is a mandatory prerequisite to be a part of this kind of project. But there are many other features that products and company must have. We already spend a lot of words about performance. An high lumen watt ratio is requested. But also there are some very special features to consider, like a flexible product to be easily adapted to the design of these stunning boutiques. Many times the products must be finished to follow the finish of the stores. And very often the light must be applied inside of furniture or displays that are more often really small and very complicated. So need to know how to adapt. That is not easy. These kind of boutiques have a worldwide presence. So certificates for the various areas of the world is needed. And a quick service, the opening date is not negotiable for this kind of stores, so must be fast and must be accurate. Then a lighting manufacturer who decide to deal with luxury retail must set up its works, products manufacturing, services delivering in order to provide the maximum amount of flexibility. So what luminaire would use in luxury boutique and why? Usually, the range of products provides track lights, micro spotlights, linears, downlights, and very often also special lights. The common light requirements are a high quality of the lights with several CCT available, all with the minimum CRI 90, with a good R9 and the good R15, a good balance in terms of the other colors, TN3015, and the narrow mechanical lips. As already told, an elevated lumen output and lumen watt ratio is requested. Downlights must always be trimless to be perfectly and discreetly integrated in the interior design, and together with track lights must have a wide range of options in terms of optic, filters, accessories to handle the several lighting effects. The linear range for ceiling and for the curves must have several lighting emissions, must be diffuse, grazing, must have accessories to be pre-angled, to be adjusted inside of the curves, and must be also very often flexible to follow the curves of the design. As Paolo shows in your presentation, the integrated light is becoming predominant in this kind of projects. It's mainly composed of a wide range of linears that must be often very tiny to be integrated in a shelf that very often is thin like a metal sheet. But many times, or most of the time, they must be also very powerful because sometimes is the only lighting source for some detail, like the one we are seeing right now. The microspot and very small microspot are now an integral part of every project in high-end luxury retail. It's needed to better enhance the goods and make the system on the shelves and the displays equal in all the stores. There are also the facade lighting, which is very often a separate chapter and which, in addition to conveying the brand messages, has to enhance the architecture, or instead has to convey the strong presence of the brands. I'm meaning, for example, I think on the Middle East and Far East market, where we have a very high density of facade in the same way, in the same street. There are also special lighting, many times are just a decorative big chandelier, but also many times could be special application of some new technology. I'm thinking, for example, of the edge lighting technology that must be custom-made to create a unified effect, maybe matching with materials like marble, papers, and likes. So this is the point of view about which kind of products are most involved in this kind of project. But how important is quality, efficiency, and sustainability in store lighting? We have already talked about the quality of lights, and since the high density of the lights per square meter, looking at the lifetime of these boutiques, which is often a few years, compared to the average lifespan that these lights may have, efficiency becomes a very important and challenging requirement to make the boutiques more sustainable and reduce their emissions. So what we are doing and what we have done as a lighting manufacturer. With FLI Formula Luci, for example, we are implementing the new Nichia H6 LED, or we are choosing the best component on the market on all of our electronic circuits, and we have changed the design to adapt them to the features of this new LED to maximize efficiency. I mean, the electronic board must be designed to enhance the best the potentiality of the components. For the linear products, we have also designed a new patented type of screen, which combines two different materials, one super reflective, that which together with a special design that this kind of screen has, are able to recover the whole flux of LED without any dispersion, and it makes the screen a true optical system. By this, we are able to achieve a very interesting goal of 136 lumen watt output in a products in 9 by 9 millimeters, very, very thin. What we are doing with FOLIO, another point of view. FOLIO is a backlighting system, so FOLIO green is our answer. Also, we are implementing the new high efficiency H6 LED from Nichia, and that together with the application of an ultra reflective white material on the bottom part of our products, allow us to reach a very important goal, more than 100 lumen watt output for an energy system. Just to give you an example of the application, you can have maybe on the facade, on a backlit system, the same lighting performance with the same lights with almost 40% reduction of the consumption. This is really important. Also thinking about how dense is the power consumption of this kind of application. In terms of sustainability, as a manufacturer, we are using aluminum manufacturing in part of recycled materials. We have a program for the recovery and disposal of the plastic materials, and we are registered with consortium for the disposal of electronic waste. Our packaging are made of paper, cardboard, and recycled wood. And also we are merging to a new group that is arranging the whole chain in looking at the circular economy to reuse and resave the products. In general, we are committed every day to not to waste, and we are careful to production process and all process to reduce waste. So I would like to thank you for the attention, and please, Alessandro, you can start with the presentation of your new, very ultra efficient LED. Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much, everybody, for participating into this webinar. Paolo, Nicolas, and Claudio, I enjoyed a lot your presentation. I learned something very interesting. I want to say to our participants who Nichia is. Nichia is the biggest LED manufacturer in the world. Our factories are based in Japan, in Tokushima area. The company is owned by the Ogawa family. And already since 1956, we are doing a lot of products for the lighting industry. We started in 56 with phosphor. Then in the 90s, we introduced the very first blue LED. And then in the 96, the very first white LED. We are trying to answer always to the demand of the lighting market, but beside that, we try to give ourselves very important added values. First, of course, the high efficacy, because it's very important for the energy saving. We try to produce, of course, LEDs which are very easy to integrate to favor the easy design for our customers. We give so much attention to the high quality and the color quality of our product, and has very important at the value. We go to look always for new spectra. These spectra will have to give us a good feeling. We have introduced spectra for well-being, for activation and relaxation. This all combined with a dynamic white. That's something very interesting, a very trend in the last time. What are the requests from the high-end lighting market? Of course, we have to be sustainable. You would think about, high luxury lighting as very important brand, very expensive, but also in this environment, the sustainability is very important. Of course, because they are showing very expensive product, the color quality should be a very strong point to follow. What we have to do also for them, because every couple of months there is a new specification coming, I don't know, from California or from Europe. We have to follow this specification and also try to be ahead of them and outclass them. Another important point was mentioned by my colleagues before. The R90 should be more efficient, and we have to try to step away from the R80, and this to be served as well with several LED solutions. For example, if you walk down the Via Condotti in Rome, you will find all of these big brand shops. Could be Bulgari, Dior, Gucci, whatever. And when you enter one of that, you see this astonishing shops with a lot of bling bling, a lot of very nice bags, shoes, and they are all lit by very nice products like the one Claudio was showing. Linear lighting for shelf lighting, cove lighting, and a lot, of course, of spotlights to give very good accent to the product exposed. Nichia has, of course, a solution to as LED to be integrated into these products. Of course, you would say, yeah, but you always had this Mi Power LED and the chip on board. Yes, that's correct. But today we made a very big jump. We went from a standard 160 lumen per watt, for example, efficacy on the 3000 Kelvin. We went on 191, and we reached the 200 lumen per watt for the 5000 Kelvin. In the stores, in the luxury stores, mainly the 3000 he used. And that was for the Mi Power LED. For the chip on board, we also made a big jump. We jumped with about 13-15% efficacy. We went from 159 to 179 lumen per watt. Of course, this is again the industry highest efficacy with a high CRI, where R90 and where R9 is bigger than 50. We managed to do this, keeping, of course, very good color quality, and on some points even being better than the previous generation of LEDs. We improved as well the R9, and we outclassed the previous TM30, 15, 18. We were Fidelity and Gamut we had with these products. Today, only Nichia can give you this solution. I would say, especially to Paolo, not to be too worried. You have to be indeed very efficient, but now with the solution we have today, we will make your job a lot easier. Also, Claudio's job a lot easier, because with our products, we will make your life, of course, a lot easier, because we'll be enabling the very friendly eco design, helping you to get a higher score on your label. The LPD of 30 lumen per watt mentioned by Nicolas will be also not that difficult anymore. If you have any question, please send this now, or maybe you can contact us later on the email address you see on the screen. Thank you very much for listening to us. I would now pass my word to Matt.
Thanks very much, Alessandro, and thanks very much everyone else for your fascinating presentations. It's been really interesting to hear your insights. I'd like to invite you all now back into the room, back onto the stage, as it were, and we can get things kick-started with the Q&A. A reminder to everyone, please keep sending your questions in. You can do so using the Q&A icon at the bottom of your screen, and we'll try and get through as many as we can in the next 20-25 minutes. The first question that I'd like to ask is for yourself, Nicolas, and it's a question that you've probably been asked quite a lot already, and it's, how do you see the future of retail lighting? I suppose in part as customers are moving to more online shopping, and then also kind of following on from the recent COVID crisis that we've been living through for the past 18 months.
In fact, we believe that there will be the superposition of the digital and the physical worlds. We all suffered of these lockdowns, and we are not happy to stay inside, and it's not the future for everybody. We all want to go out and meet the others, meet the brands in the physical stores. We can compare it to the arrival of the television when there was the cinema before, and they are still together. And the experience when you go to the cinema is not comparable to something on the TV. Online, it's the same. So we will still have some good projects, good work to do together in the near future.
Absolutely. And we've had a question come through for you, Nicolas, actually, from Roger Sexton. Thank you very much, Roger, for your question. And he says, rightly, efficacy is a big theme throughout all of our presentations today. But he's interested in the topics of tunable white and melanopic lux. Is this something that you've considered in your stores?
Today, not. It's too advanced, I think. But as I said in my slides, this is a field of research and really something to take to on board in the projects. First, for the efficacy, because I believe not all the colors are important for the human vision. And second, for the customer experience, because the transition from outside to inside is a key factor of success. So that's why it's a very good point. And I say hello to my friend Roger Sexton.
Okay, fantastic. And kind of following on from that point, Paolo, we've had a question here regarding energy saving requirements. So when you're working on these luxury retail establishments, how do you handle energy saving requirements and the high lux levels generally required in high fashion boutiques?
Well, that's definitely a very difficult. That's the difficult goal. As I said before, we need to work with numbers in the right way, and with these right numbers, a lot of work has been done. But it's to keep the beauty and the motion. To keep the beauty and the motion, you have to go beyond. When we design, and we do have, for example, stringent wattage allowances, or when we want to be within a specific target, as we're discussing today, it's very important where you put the light, how much light you put in the space, what you want to create. We try to avoid light which is not useful. For example, on flooring, on horizontal surfaces, we try to focus on specific products, to keep the experience for the end user very interesting. We focus on the elevations, we focus on the products, we kind of create views around the store. but we try not to fill the store with light which is not needed. So that's definitely one big point to take in consideration. It's how you design. How do you design your project, basically? And then obviously with specifying the best fixture, for the moment, the best efficacy, and for basically work within those required numbers. But it's the design which makes the difference for sure.
Yeah, sure. Okay. And kind of following on from that point, we've had a couple of comments come through from Guy on the chat as well. Thanks very much, Guy, who is talking about the very high illumination levels that you find in some retail establishments. And he says that working to levels of 1,000 lux on products doesn't really fit in with sustainability, and that humans don't need such high levels of illumination. So who is the one that's driving the need for these high light levels? And is it something that lighting designers can educate clients on and tell them that it's not necessary?
Sure, that's a very, very interesting question. It's true. It's true. But eventually, it's all about contrast. It's all about hierarchy. If you have a store flooded with daylight, you need to have a specific amount of artificial light within the space. Therefore, you might achieve some very high values. But by any means, it's the contrast. Surely, a well-lit space for many of the clients is ideal. Not everyone perceives the light in the same manner, but we all need to see the products within the store. So we need to also take in consideration about this. Generally, again, we tend to calibrate the lighting levels, the luminance, well on the specific concept. On the finishing of the store are very important. If we have reflective finishing, if we have matte finishing, it's all about that. So as a starting point, we are not thinking of working with really, really high levels. Eventually, we need to. We think about layering the project with different type of approaches. So it depends very much on the project itself and whether, for example, you have somehow daylight coming in or not, as an example. But sure. It's not an expectation from the client to have really high levels. It's us to level out the project accordingly to the expectation of the client, not of the end user.
Yeah,
as well.
Sure. Okay, cool. So another area that is quite a big topic at the moment is on sustainability. And Claudio, I'd like to direct this question to you. It's something you touched on a little bit in your presentation, but regarding the lifetime of quality light fixtures is oftentimes a lot longer than the lifetime of a shop's design. So what is your approach when it comes to recycling or reusing light fittings once the design of the store has changed?
Yes, thank you for these questions. Yes, the lifespan of a quality fixtures is usually more than 10 years, and a luxury store life is usually something about 5-10 years. So having this in mind and thinking on the impact of the density of the power supplies, the lighting fixture, the sustainability is a chain aspect to be considered for this kind of aspects. So we are taking part, for example, as to the Lighting for Good project, which Nicolas is one of the founder, and this group composed not only from lighting manufacturer but also is a group of collaboration between lighting manufacturer and lighting design clients to define the scorecard and the main aspect, not only on the products in terms of efficiency, in terms of performance of the products, but also in terms of recycle and sustainability of the products. And we are trying all together to push and to start with the circular economy also in the lighting industry, to reuse the part of the lighting fixture that can be reused, and to arrange and repaint and use service inside of the factory manufacturer. So, I mean, maybe the metal body, aluminum body can be reused, and just maybe the lighting source can be changed. And this will have, we all hope that will have a very good and strong impact on the environment and sustainability of this kind of projects.
Absolutely. And I suppose as an extension of that, I'm sure you'll have encountered a lot of different regions and different countries have their own local certifications and regulations. So what has been your experience regarding working around local certifications, and then if there's sort of projects around the world and each has their own individual local rules to follow?
This is another very challenging aspect, especially for companies not very big like the ours. Many times these kind of companies are very focused in one type of products think for these luxury high-end projects, but this kind of project has a very worldwide presence, and also the players involved in this project are for many countries. Many times the lighting designer is from Italy, the architect maybe is from Japan, the general contractor is maybe located in Saudi Arabia, and the mill worker is from Europe or from China. So really tricky and really difficult. What we are doing, the best-selling products has already has been designed to get immediately the certification for the main markets, like the CE, the UL for the US and Canadian market, maybe the ESC for the Russian market, but also we prepared all the test report to be ready in a very quick time to get the local certification for the critical market. I mean, Japan, Korea, Saudi Arabia. Also, we have a chain of partner in the most critical part of the world, as I told you before, maybe in Japan, Korea, Saudi Arabia, just to mention some very, very critical market that help us to get the certification in a very quick time, and in the same time, they assure a local assistant on site to support the clients.
Okay, great. And moving on, Alessandro, I've had a couple of questions for you regarding tunable white and circadian rhythms. So, Alessandro, is it worth going for tunable white when working on lighting for these establishments, do you think?
That can be a solution which can probably help the employees working in the store. You know, following the circadian rhythm is something very useful, and I heard also from Nicolas' presentation that this could be something interesting to look at, and there's also maybe a test we will do in the future. But I believe that what is the most important for this application is to combine the energy saving and the color quality. I also saw another question coming from the panel: how is important to have to follow to have a good R9 or follow TM3015 regulation? Let's don't look only at the R9. Let's don't look only at R1. In this application, you know, there are a lot of people working, and there are other colors like R12 and R15, which reproduce as well the human skin, which are very important to have at a very high level. Imagine that, for example, also one of the maison is making makeup. There are these nice lady coming inside the shop, and then you don't see the very nice makeup they have on or the new hair color they did yesterday. That's why we need to look always at a very wide part of the chromacity. Another very important point to consider for color rendering is even outside of the TM30, because we see a lot of gold, we see a lot of silver, we see a lot of crystals, transparency, bling bling, rubies, diamonds. Those are not into the 99 samples of DM3015. And but those products, they cost a lot of money. You want to reproduce them at the best, and only with a full spectrum LED like the OptiSolis, also Nicolas was mentioning, is giving you a great rendering.
Okay, cool. And kind of following on from that, regarding the circadian cycle, how does that affect energy efficiency? Is there an impact? Is there a reduction in energy efficiency, or an improvement in efficiency rather?
I have to say not in our case, because last December, the 8th of the 9, we released a press release where we introduced our new tunable technology, which is having an high CRI, the same like the one we are representing today in our H6 product, combined with a special spectrum which is activating you. Basically, there is a technology which is activating you at certain time of the day, and then is relaxing you at a certain time of the day. Combine these two LEDs together at two different CCTs, you will have the perfect reproduction of the circadian rhythm, keeping an high CRI with a very high efficacy, like the one we showed today.
Okay, great. Thanks very much for that. And we've had a question come through for Paolo, which is kind of following along this same theme regarding circadian and human-centric lighting. So this question is from Sandeep, who says, for a retail jewelry showroom, we can apply human-centric lighting in the general lighting area, so not for task or product lighting. And what would be the CCT during the time the showroom is open from 11 a.m. till 8 p.m.? Do you have any advice for Sandeep, Paolo?
It's an interesting application, actually, human-centric lighting in jewelry spaces. We've done it before in other type of stores using dynamic white systems and dimming systems in order to replicate the daylight sequence throughout within an enclosed space. For a jewelry. Again, could be very much related to daylight. Normally, we work with the set color temperature, even though we also have options of tunable fixtures on specific products in terms of jewels. We shift from cool to warm light according to the type of products, if we speak about gold, platinum, or whatever other type of stones. So we believe that the shifting in color temperature could be ideal for that specific reason. Human-centric within a store surely can be interesting, but could be a little bit misleading for the user in terms of perception. As a standard color temperature, we work a lot with 3000 K. But again, for a specific application like jewelry, we go up to 4, 5K, depending on the products, mixing the sources in order to provide the best flexibility. So I would possibly apply human-centric to school, hospitals, and factories most for now. But perhaps take some of this new technology for the stores in order to maybe create visual experiences comparable to daylight when we don't have the specific advantages, maybe especially when we work in locations where daylight is not as, for example, where we are in the south, so it's I guess it's more related to the perception of the products in this case.
Okay, fantastic. And another question that has come through, which I think is quite interesting, is that no one has really mentioned glare as an important aspect of the shopping experience. So how important is it to limit glare and use glare-free products specifically in high-end stores?
It's glare is important, and glare is also driving choices, and also glare has an impact on in some reason on the density, on the wattage density. If we work with open reflector fixtures, which are really super efficient, for example, from the ceiling, we will have problems, with glare. While working with the low glare fixtures, as for example pinholes light fixtures, we do reduce the problem of glare, but we reduce the efficiency of the light fixtures. So we need to balance that. It's a good point. We are always controlling glare, especially on millwork applications as well, because it's what you see. So we like to integrate as much as possible fixtures within millwork details and to hide them as much as possible in order to see the wash of light instead of the light fixture. Sometimes it's not always possible. Sometimes you need to accept a sort of compromise. But as we were talking about earlier, in terms of miniaturization of the light fixtures, so we can work now with linear profiles which are really, really tiny, while keeping under control the heat generated on the millwork surfaces. We can achieve a complete, let's say, integration, thereby less glare. Sometimes glare is wanted, on the other hand, to create some breaks. But as a general, let's say, approach, we would like to see the products and not the light fixtures. So it's definitely a very important point for us, and it's all again about the specification of the correct products, I would say, in terms of millwork and ceiling lights. Definitely less glare could be also meaning a little bit of high density in terms of wattage sometimes.
Okay, cool. And kind of following on from what you were talking about there, Alfredo has asked if in your experience during the design phase, you can have an influence on the architect on selecting the colors or materials for the wall and millwork furniture, so that it can have a better result in terms of lighting efficiency?
Well, a successful lighting project has to be, it's a teamwork. In fact, it's all about discussing with interior designer, architects, clients as well, what really we want to deliver, with what is the image, so yes, sometimes we do exchange comments on finishes. We are consultants, so by the end of the day we give our feedback to the team, sometimes to overcome some issues as reflections, for example, but sometimes to also provide more let's say visual interest to the space. It's a teamwork, so yes, it's very important, and yes, sometimes we do have a word on some of the details, and that's what makes successful our work, when we really work close with interior designers, with the architects, with engineers, and with our clients. So yes, it's a teamwork, and we comment very much on that specific items as we get comments on our specific items.
Sure. And Nicolas, do you have anything that you'd like to add to that? Would you be more amenable to taking input?
If you want to fight the climate change and save the environment, you go for the matte white surfaces. Not only the good LEDs, but also nice white gallery style. It will help a lot.
Okay. And we've had another question come through from Isabella, so thank you very much. This is regarding, I suppose it's regarding energy reduction as well. So her question is about the CSR approach, and energy consumption reduction is an important part of the CSR movement, but what about local sourcing in the production process, such as transport, reuse and recycling? I know, Nicolas, this is something that you'll be familiar with your work with Lighting for Good. So what is the option, would you say, to improve those aspects?
First, we see a local sourcing as something coming from less than 500 kilometers. Today, we are the first stage of this research, and we are more and more clustering between APAC, Middle East, Europe, and US for sourcing. So very often with the Maison, we have the same or equivalent product available in more than 3 manufacturers to allow local sourcing.
Okay, cool. And I'm just mindful of the time, but we've probably got time for maybe another couple of questions. So I'd like to ask this one to Claudio, if I may. You talked about the type of fixtures that you put together, you manufacture for retail establishments. And we've seen a trend towards miniaturization in terms of spotlights, particularly for retail establishments. Is this something that you've looked at from your company?
Yes, miniaturization in general is drive us in terms of design of the new fixtures. Just to give you an example, the new linears that we have developed has 5mm thickness in total for a very high lumen output, and also for the micro spotlights. As Paolo told in his presentation, the millward lighting is predominant now in the projects, and many microspot must be applied to the shelves, which are very often very tiny and very slim. So try to imagine how difficult it is for a manufacturer to prepare a mini spotlight that must have anti-glare effect, very high lumen output. You have to think that maybe a spot of a few centimeters, like 5 by 1.5 centimeters, must have 400 lumen outputs in 15 degrees optics with anti-glare, and must have a very good heat dissipation to guarantee the right lifespan of the products, and at the same time the comfort inside of the store when the client maybe touch the goods or approach the millworks. So it's not simple, it's a challenging aspect that we have to consider during the design process, and is the most demanding topics in the last years and in the next future by our point of view.
Okay, fantastic. And the last question, unfortunately, we can't go on for too much longer. The last question I'd like to pose to Alessandro, if I may. Someone has got in touch with some of their own experiences. They've said, while testing fixtures for luxury retail, they have identified some binning discrepancies on macadam step 3. So I guess they wanted to know what Nichia's experience of this has been, if that's something they've encountered.
Yes, I understand that. That's something which is happening. We hear sometimes from the market that this is happening. As you know, the LED is at the end is a very complicated, sophisticated electronic component, which is impacted by current, driving current, and temperature. We specify our LED at this specific current and temperature. When these are integrated, they are part of a system. In this system, satellite parts can have impact on the color quality of this LED, which can result into 3 steps or even wider than 3 steps. But we do know that our partners are working very hard to integrate in a lot easier way these products, using proper plastic to do lenses, proper plastic to do reflectors, which are not changing very much the macadam steps which they purchased. And at the same time, what Nichia already reached a few years ago, we can deliver easily a 2 macadam steps or a 1 macadam steps with its own price tag.
Okay, fantastic. Well, thank you very much for your responses. Unfortunately, I think we are probably running out of time. It's a shame. I'm sure we could have chatted about this for a lot longer. But thank you very much, Alessandro, Claudio, Paolo, and Nicolas, for your time and for your presentations today. And thank you, everyone that has joined us, that's asked questions, that's got involved on the chat. If we didn't get around to your questions, sorry about that. But we will, Nichia will be putting an email address in the chat box, I hope, and then you can get in touch with them directly if you have any sort of follow-on questions regarding the presentations today or anything that's been discussed. But again, I just want to say a big thank you very much for everyone for taking part and everyone for joining us today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.